It happened on a Tuesday morning, one of those days that feel like any other until everything changes in the blink of an eye. Maya sat at her cramped desk, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The sound of the office's air conditioner hummed in the background, drowning out the low chatter from the cubicles around her. The clock ticked slowly, too slowly, as she stared at the screen. Another day, another email, another routine. Her life was defined by these small, monotonous moments, a job she didn't love but could barely afford to leave, a paycheck that stretched just far enough to cover the bills but not much else. She wasn't unhappy exactly, but she wasn't truly happy either. Maya had spent most of her 28 years juggling one responsibility after another. Bills, work, family. Her life was a constant balancing act. There were moments of joy, yes, but they were fleeting, like sunlight breaking through clouds, only to disappear again. Then, on that Tuesday, everything was about to shift. Want to know how Maya's life changed in an instant? Don't miss the rest of her story. Hit subscribe and join us as we dive into a journey full of twists and unexpected moments. It wasn't until she spilled coffee on her blouse that the world as she knew it truly began to unravel. As she frantically tried to wipe it off with a napkin, she noticed something unusual, a figure standing in the lobby of her building. Tall, well-dressed, and somehow different. There was something about him that made the chaos of her office feel distant, but it wasn't until the man glanced her way and smiled that she realized who he was. Keanu Reeves. She froze, her hand still clutching the napkin, the coffee now forgotten. Was she imagining it? There, right in front of her, stood Keanu Reeves, the actor she'd admired for years. It felt surreal, like a dream she didn't want to wake up from. But this wasn't a dream. It was real. He was here for something. She just didn't know what. All she knew was that her ordinary, predictable life had just collided with something extraordinary. The moment lasted only a few seconds, but it felt like time slowed down. Maya wanted to go up to him, say something, but she was paralyzed. It wasn't every day that the man who played Neo in The Matrix walked into your workplace. Her heart raced, her mind a swirl of thoughts. Should she approach him? Say something clever? Pretend she didn't notice? Before she could decide, he was gone. A few seconds later, Maya snapped back to reality, and a feeling of disappointment lingered in her chest. That was it. Just a brief, fleeting encounter that would disappear as quickly as it had appeared. But life, as Maya would soon learn, isn't always about what happens in the moment. Sometimes, it's about what happens next. As the day went on, she couldn't shake the thought of Keanu. She couldn't stop replaying the brief encounter in her head. But little did she know, that moment would mark the beginning of something much bigger than a mere celebrity sighting. It would turn her world upside down. Maya wasn't just going to remember this day. This was the day her life changed. Forever. It was lunchtime, and Maya was exhausted. She had barely slept the night before. Another restless night filled with worries about bills, family issues, and the looming uncertainty of her future. She had decided to step out of the office for a breather. The office lobby was stuffy, and her computer screen felt like it was burning holes in her eyes. The fresh air was calling. Maya had just reached the cafe across the street when she spotted him again. There he was, standing in the middle of the cafe, looking just as out of place as the first time she saw him. But this time, he wasn't just standing there. He looked lost. Keanu Reeves, one of the most recognizable faces in the world, appeared to be searching for something. Maybe it was the right coffee, maybe a friend, or maybe just peace. Her heart skipped a beat. She couldn't believe it. The man she had seen that morning was standing right in front of her. What were the odds? Keanu's eyes were scanning the cafe, his brow furrowed slightly as he tugged at his jacket sleeve. He seemed unsettled. Maybe he was waiting for someone, or maybe he was just trying to find a place to sit. Maya didn't know what compelled her. Maybe it was the quiet pain in his eyes or the way he carried himself, like someone who had seen too much. But Maya couldn't just walk away. She had never been one to ignore someone in need, even if they were a world-famous actor. "Excuse me," she said, hesitating for a moment. unsure of what to say next. "Are you okay?" Keanu turned to her, his expression softening as if he hadn't expected anyone to speak to him. His eyes met hers, and for a brief moment, she felt like she was looking at a completely different person than the one she had seen on screen. He didn't smile immediately, but there was a flicker of recognition in his gaze. Maybe he was used to people staring, but not this kind of stare. He could tell she wasn't starstruck. She was just a woman offering help. "Yeah," Keanu replied quietly. "I'm just trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be." Maya noticed that he seemed uneasy, standing in the middle of the cafe, not sure where to go. She didn't think twice. "If you need a table," Maya offered, "I'm sure there's space at the back. It's quieter there." He gave a small nod, grateful but still hesitant. "Thanks." Maya led him to an empty corner table, trying her best to act natural. They sat down across from each other, and for a few moments neither of them said anything. The silence wasn't awkward, just a strange stillness between two strangers who, for some reason, had found each other in this small moment. "I didn't expect to run into you here," Maya finally said, trying to break the ice. Keanu raised an eyebrow. "Yeah, me neither. Are you—" She started but hesitated. Should she ask him if he was Keanu Reeves? Was that too bold? "Are you lost?" He chuckled softly, the sound surprisingly warm. "In a way, I guess." Something about the way he spoke made Maya think that maybe he wasn't talking just about the cafe. She felt the weight of his words in a way she hadn't expected. It was as if Keanu wasn't just lost in that moment, but in something bigger. She could tell there was more to this chance encounter than she understood. Keanu paused for a second, then asked, "Do you always help strangers like this?" Maya smiled, a little embarrassed. "Only when they seem like they need it." For a few minutes they talked. It wasn't anything deep, just small talk. He didn't seem like he wanted to talk about his career, and she didn't press him, but when he got up to leave, he paused by the door and turned back to her. "Thanks for being kind," he said with genuine gratitude. Not a lot of people would have done that. She smiled, unsure of how to respond. "It's no problem. Just doing what anyone would do." But the words felt hollow. Was that really all there was to it? Just kindness? Then, just before he left, Keanu turned to her again and said, "You're a good person, Maya." His words hung in the air, leaving her speechless. How did he know her name? But before she could ask, he was gone. The door swung shut behind him, leaving her standing there, wondering if she had just imagined the entire thing. The next day, Maya was sitting at her desk when she saw the email. It was from her manager, an email with the subject line, "Urgent, immediate meeting." Her heart sank. She wasn't expecting good news, not after yesterday. As she walked into the conference room, the atmosphere felt tense. Her boss, Carla, was already seated at the table, along with her supervisor, Mark. They looked serious, their faces lined with concern. It wasn't a normal meeting, not like the ones she was used to. Maya could feel the weight of their gaze as she sat down. Something was wrong. "Maya," Carla began, her tone stern. "We need to discuss something important." Maya's stomach twisted. "What's going on?" Mark cleared his throat. "It's about yesterday. We received a complaint." "A complaint?" Maya's heart started racing. "A complaint? What do you mean?" Carla leaned forward. "You were seen talking to a famous customer in the cafe. That's fine, but the problem is, you left your post during work hours without permission." Maya blinked, confused. "I just went for a quick break to grab a coffee. I wasn't gone for long." Mark shook his head. "It's not about the time. It's about the fact that you were seen engaging with someone who is, well, someone important. We have a policy here. Employees are not allowed to take personal time without prior approval, and we certainly don't allow customers, especially famous ones, to distract you." Maya's head was spinning. "But I wasn't—" Carla cut her off. "You didn't even check with anyone first. This isn't about a celebrity sighting, Maya. It's about professionalism. Maya tried to speak, but the words caught in her throat. She was being reprimanded for showing basic kindness, for offering help to someone who clearly needed it. Was that really so wrong? "You're fired," Carla said, her words landing like a slap in the face. "Effective immediately." The room seemed to close in on her. Maya could barely breathe, her thoughts swirling. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Fired. For what? Helping someone. "I'm sorry, Maya," Carla said, her tone softer now, but no less firm. "This is the decision. You're free to collect your things." Maya stood up slowly, her head spinning. She walked out of the room in a daze, the weight of the moment sinking in. The office, the job she had spent years building, was no longer hers. As she packed up her things in the quiet of her cubicle, 1,000 thoughts raced through her mind. How was she going to pay the rent? What was she supposed to do now? She couldn't even explain to her family what had happened. She'd been fired for showing compassion. But then, her phone buzzed. It was a text message from an unknown number. It was Keanu. "Thank you for helping me. I'll make sure this doesn't go unnoticed." Maya's heart skipped a beat. How had he even gotten her number? The message felt like a lifeline, an unexpected connection in the midst of her storm. But how could one message fix what had just happened? How could she possibly make sense of the mess she was in? She sat back, staring at the screen. Was this the turning point? Or just another twist in a life that seemed to spiral out of control? Maya sat alone in her apartment, the weight of her recent firing still heavy on her shoulders. It was the middle of the night, and the world outside was quiet, save for the occasional distant car passing by. She hadn't slept a wink, her mind replaying the events of the last 24 hours over and over. It felt like the world had come crashing down all at once. She stared at her phone, the message from Keanu still open on the screen. His words, "Thank you for helping me. I'll make sure this doesn't go unnoticed," had stayed with her, but they offered little comfort. What could he possibly do? How could one simple text make everything better? Maya had tried reaching out to a few old contacts, but it was clear that no one was willing to take a chance on her right now. Her reputation at work had taken a hit. She felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure if she should take the leap or retreat back into the shadows. Her phone buzzed again, snapping her out of her thoughts. It was another message from the same number, Keanu. "I know you're probably struggling right now. I want to help. Meet me tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the downtown cafe. Let's talk." Her heart skipped a beat. This was real. He wanted to help her. The next day, Maya arrived at the cafe early, her nerves a jumbled mess. What did he want? How was he going to help her? She had so many questions, but the only thing she knew for sure was that this was a chance for her life to change. When Keanu walked in, he was just as calm and composed as always, his signature jacket and boots giving him an air of effortless style. He spotted Maya immediately and gave her a warm smile. "Hey Maya," he greeted her, his voice kind and steady. "How are you holding up?" She stood up, unsure of what to say. How could she explain everything that had happened? How could she explain the fear and uncertainty that were threatening to drown her? But his calm demeanor made her feel like everything was going to be okay. "I've been better," Maya said with a weak smile, sitting down across from him. "Honestly, I'm just trying to make sense of everything." Keanu nodded sympathetically, his expression softening. "I can only imagine how tough this must be for you. I don't want to see someone like you get lost in the system. You've got a lot of heart, Maya. That's rare." Maya blinked in surprise. "What do you mean?" "You showed kindness when you didn't have to. Most people would have just walked away. But you didn't," he explained, leaning in slightly. "That kind of thing doesn't go unnoticed. It means something." Maya's chest tightened as she listened to him. Was this really happening? Was this the kind of person Keanu was? A person who saw past the surface and recognized the value in others? "I've been thinking about how I can help," Keanu continued. "I have a few connections in the industry. I can introduce you to someone who might be able to offer you a job. Something that uses your skills, your heart, your passion. You deserve more than what you were given." Maya couldn't speak at first. Was he really offering to help her find a job just like that? It felt surreal. She had spent months, no, years trying to get ahead. But now, someone she barely knew was offering her a chance at something real, something that could change everything. I don't know what to say," Maya whispered, feeling overwhelmed by emotion. "You don't need to say anything," Keanu replied with a gentle smile. "Just know that there are people out there who recognize your worth. You don't have to keep fighting this battle alone. You've got people who care." For the first time in a long time, Maya felt a flicker of hope. It was a small spark, but it was enough. Keanu's gesture was more than just a job offer. It was a lifeline. He had seen her for who she truly was, not just another employee, but someone with value, someone who deserved a chance. As they continued to talk, Keanu shared his own story, how he had faced struggles and doubts, how he had learned to keep going despite the setbacks. His words weren't just comforting, they were inspiring. He didn't give her empty promises. He didn't tell her everything would be fine right away. Instead, he offered wisdom. He offered a path forward. By the time they finished their conversation, Maya felt like a weight had been lifted. Keanu's belief in her was more than just a kind gesture. It was a challenge to rise above her circumstances, to take a leap of faith, and to believe in herself. "I'm going to make a call tomorrow," Keanu said as he stood up. "I'll get things moving for you. Just remember, this is your chance. Don't waste it." Maya watched as he walked out of the cafe, feeling a sense of determination she hadn't felt in a long time. This wasn't just a lucky break, it was a gift she couldn't waste. Keanu had given her more than just a job opportunity. He had given her the belief that she could do more than survive. She could thrive. In the weeks that followed, Maya's life began to change in ways she never expected. The phone call from Keanu that afternoon turned into a series of opportunities, each one leading her further away from the despair she had felt before. The first call was from a woman named Jessica, who worked at a small but influential non-profit. Maya had done some volunteer work in the past, and Jessica was intrigued by her passion for helping others. The job she offered was nothing like what Maya had been doing before. It wasn't corporate, it wasn't predictable, but it was meaningful. "Come work with us, Maya," Jessica had said over the phone. "I've seen your work ethic. I think you'd be a perfect fit." The non-profit was focused on helping underprivileged youth, giving them opportunities for education and career development. It was the kind of work Maya had always dreamed of doing, but she had never known how to break into it. At first, the adjustment was difficult. The office wasn't as polished as the corporate world she had left behind. The hours were long, the pay wasn't great, and the work was emotionally draining. But with each day, Maya found herself becoming more and more connected to the mission. She was no longer just going through the motions, she was making a difference. As she settled into her new role, Maya started to feel like she had a purpose again. She wasn't just working for a paycheck anymore. She was contributing to something bigger than herself. And that felt right. The shift wasn't just professional, it was personal too. Keanu's words, the belief he had shown in her, had taken root in her heart. Every time she felt overwhelmed, she remembered his message. "You've got people who care." It wasn't just Keanu who cared anymore. Maya cared. She cared about herself. She cared about her future. And with that care came a new strength. Her confidence grew as she became more involved in her work. She learned new skills, pushed herself past her limits, and started to see the world around her in a different way. Where once she saw barriers, she now saw opportunities. Where once she felt powerless, she now felt empowered. She made new friends at the non-profit, people who shared her passion and values. She found mentors who encouraged her to dream bigger, to aim higher. With each passing week, her life felt more aligned with who she truly was. It wasn't about the job she had lost or the setback she had faced. It was about what she was doing now, and how much she had grown. One evening, as she sat at her desk reflecting on her journey, Maya realized something. It wasn't just the job that had changed her life, it was the person she had become. She wasn't the same woman who had walked into that cafe unsure of her place in the world. She wasn't the same woman who had been fired for doing what she believed was right. She was stronger, wiser, more confident, and most importantly, she had learned to believe in herself. Keanu had given her a chance, but she had taken it. She had turned that chance into something real, and now she was in control of her own destiny. It was then that Maya understood the true gift Keanu had given her. Not just a job, but the courage to live the life she had always dreamed of. And with that, everything was possible. Maya sat at her desk, her fingers hovering above the keyboard. The past few weeks had been a whirlwind. The non-profit was flourishing, and Maya was thriving in her role. She was making connections, helping others, and slowly rebuilding the life she had lost. But despite the sense of fulfillment that came with her work, something was missing. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was still more to be done. It was a rainy Thursday when her phone buzzed. Another message from Keanu. She hesitated for a moment before opening it, her pulse quickening. "Maya, I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking about you and your journey. I have an offer I think you should consider. Meet me tomorrow at noon. I'll explain everything." Her heart skipped a beat. An offer from Keanu. She had no idea what it could be, but there was no question in her mind that this could be another life-changing moment. The next day, Maya arrived at the cafe early, just as the rain began to clear. She sat by the window, watching the clouds part, lost in thought. She hadn't heard from Keanu in a while, but she knew he had been busy with various projects. What could he possibly have in store for her? At noon, the door to the cafe opened and Keanu walked in, looking as calm and composed as ever. He gave her a quick smile before sitting down across from her. "Hey Maya," he said. "It's good to see you doing well." "Thanks," she replied, trying to suppress the flutter in her chest. "I've really been enjoying my time at the non-profit. It's been a huge change for me." "I'm glad to hear that," Keanu said with a thoughtful nod. "I've been keeping an eye on your progress, and I think you're doing amazing work. But I wanted to talk to you about something else." Maya raised an eyebrow, her curiosity piqued. "What's that?" Keanu took a deep breath before speaking. "There's a new project I'm working on, something that aligns with your passions and skills. It's an initiative to help disadvantaged communities gain access to education and career opportunities. I want you to be a part of it. I'm offering you a lead role in this project." Maya's breath caught in her throat. "Wait, you want me to work with you?" Keanu smiled gently. "Yes, you've got the right heart, the right drive, and the right mindset for this. I believe you can make a real impact. You're already doing great work, and this is a chance for you to take it to the next level." Maya was stunned. She had gone from feeling lost and uncertain to now being offered a chance to work on something that could change the lives of countless people. But working with Keanu, it felt like a dream. I don't know what to say," she stammered. "This is incredible." "You don't have to say anything right now," Keanu replied. "Take your time to think it over, but I wanted to make sure you knew that this opportunity is yours if you want it." For the first time in a long while, Maya felt truly at peace. She knew that this was the moment she had been waiting for. She wasn't just a bystander in her own life anymore. She had been given a chance to make a real difference, and she would take it. Maya stood by the window of her new office, looking out over the city below. It had been a few months since she had joined Keanu's initiative, and things had changed, radically. The work was demanding, but it was meaningful. Every day she was helping people find opportunities, create new paths for themselves, and build a better future. She was doing what she had always dreamed of, but never thought possible. Looking back, she could hardly believe how much had happened since that fateful day in the cafe when she had first met Keanu. She had been lost, struggling to make sense of her life. She had been fired for something that seemed so trivial, helping someone who needed it. But that was the beginning of her transformation. Keanu had seen something in her that she hadn't seen in herself: potential. He had believed in her when she couldn't even believe in herself. and that belief had ignited something inside her, a desire to prove herself, not just to him, but to the world. The road hadn't been easy. There had been setbacks, moments of doubt, and times when she wondered if she was truly cut out for this. But with each challenge, she grew stronger. She had faced her fears, stepped out of her comfort zone, and embraced the opportunities that had come her way. Now Maya was no longer the woman who had been fired for showing kindness. She was a woman who had found her purpose, her voice, and her strength. She had taken the chance Keanu had given her and turned it into something incredible. She looked at the phone on her desk, smiling as she remembered the last message Keanu had sent her. "I knew you had it in you." It was more than just a compliment. It was a reminder that sometimes the smallest gestures of kindness can change everything. That one decision, one moment, had set her on a path to fulfillment and success. She had found her calling, and nothing could take that away. Maya had learned that the greatest transformations come not from waiting for change to happen, but from making it happen. She had faced the darkness, and now she was standing in the light. And for the first time in her life, she knew that she had everything it took to keep moving forward. If Maya's story inspired you, and you believe in the power of kindness and transformation, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Join us for more stories that remind us how life can change in an instant.